Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's great to welcome you back for a second time in the Green Skills Bootcamp second session, which is about growth and leadership green skills. I am Yusuf Amr, a project officer at YTG with a passion for innovation and entrepreneurship. So I would like to deliver a quick recap for what the bootcamp is about and what the program is about. It's a part of a larger bootcamp, which is created by the Youth for Capacity and Youth for Climate initiatives, with this being the third implementation done by YTG. Today's session, as we mentioned, will be focusing a bit more on leadership, and I would like it to be as engaging and have you participating as much as you were in the previous session. So I would also love to give a recap about the bootcamp content. Last week, on the 2nd of September, we had a session titled Technical and Specialized Green Skills. On today, the 9th, we will have growth and leadership skills. On the 16th, we'll have digital green skills. And on the 23rd, we will have future green skills for emerging industries. I would also like to mention that we have discussion tabs open, a prompt and a Q&A thread that I would love all of you to be active on the platform. That's where we can engage with you. We can answer questions. We have our expert answer questions and so on. Aside from that, there should be a Zoom poll active right now. I would like all of you to participate in it before we start in the session. So I would also love to welcome our today's expert, Haneen. She will be given a more in-depth introduction of herself and the session content for today. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you. Unfortunately, I don't look like the picture. Today's Today's such a very long working day. I hope you all have like a nice day where you are, where it's productive and good. I'm Haneen Shaheen. I'm the chairperson of NRCP. It's a nature, resource, and climate protection NGO in Egypt. I'm based in Egypt, in Cairo, and I've been part of the climate activism world for more than, actually this year marks 10 years since Paris Agreement. So I'd love to share my experience, tell you more about the sphere, where we are, what we've been doing, and what we can do more. Unfortunately, as we are speaking, lots of things happening in Africa, in the MENA region, and in the world when it comes to extremely heated conversation under the UNFCCC, where we have like Africa Climate Week. We are having the Scientific Committee for Finance happening next week. Will mark a lot of actions on the ground for the civil society with a Global Week of Action. And the week after is like New York week, Climate Week as well. And we are like 6 weeks apart from COP, which is gonna take place in Belém in Brazil. And unfortunately, as we are speaking also, we are facing an ecocide happening next door. And it's like, it changes all the metrics, all like the positions, what we are doing. So it's very important for us to understand what is happening globally and what is happening locally and what we can do and where we can like intervene. And this is what we're gonna talk about today. So basically today session objective is like leadership, what it is, how we can use our skills to communicate, to solve our local problems, also how we can think of the system. And because despite the fact that system, we think they are different, but in a way or another in this big capitalistic small world we are living in, systems are the same. And we are all binded by the international law and the policies that can regulate or like should regulate our work, make us collaborate together to reach the best life standard livelihood we are seeking. And also now, because the world is very small, the engagement, and the stakeholders are somehow the same. Today, we are going to think of the tools to collaborate, what we can do, how to advocate, and how to use these to negotiate. And we are going to see some examples from our lovely continent, and we are going to also talk about what we as young activists, civil society members can do and like take our careers onwards. So the clicker is going so far. So why this is important? Why now it's important to take this conversation? Why Africa matters? Why we matter? Africa has the youngest population across all the continents. We are not the most populated, but we have the most young generation across. We have all the minerals, we have all the, as we can say, virgin lands, and we are in the heart and center of the planet. And unfortunately, we are the most affected and impacted with all the global south countries and places across the globe from the climate disasters and climate change hazards coming onwards. Green transition is not important for the globe only, it's important for the future of our continent because it will shape what we want to see, the future of our countries, of our kids, and our economic systems. And now it's not about the technical skills anymore. It's about a group of stuff that we need to combine with technicality and a big network that we need to build in order to make sure that we are reaching where we want to go. And also to create a big group of collaborators, supporters that can push us against the people who don't want us to reach the green solutions we want to do. A quick recap, I'm coming from a civil society activism world. So systems that we are facing now are very challenging for me personally when it comes to taking in consideration vulnerable communities, underprivileged communities, and Africa as a continent. Where I come from is a big, long, ongoing fight for our presence as African, Middle East young people to be present in policies, to be present in rooms, to be present in plans, whether in our governments or in the international sphere when it comes to the UN premises, where now they are using all the tactics and the tools to not let us in order to let in the, what we call it, the capitalistic big companies inside the negotiation. Yet, what we've been successfully doing is like gaining our spaces, push harder to get our voices heard, and bring more people in the rooms where they are taking policies that shape our future. And this is what we are going to discuss today. In order to do that, it's very important for us to understand how systems work. Systems, when we talk about it, it's a mix of everything. Governments, communities, economy, and businesses. And to do that, you need to read a lot about your local spectrum and understand the matrices that take place inside to understand what is happening outside. We're going to watch a short video and I will come back to you.
thinking means understanding how systems are interconnected, as well as understanding the dynamics within systems. A system is a configuration of parts connected and joined together by relationships or networks. Systems thinking is nonlinear. This means that in systems, cause and effect are not necessarily linked or connected with simple step-by-step chains. Connections between human and natural systems are of particular interest because they offer excellent examples of cascading effects. Cascading effects means that what might seem to be a simple outcome of a given system can actually have a series of effects on other interconnected systems. Let's consider the following quick example of systems thinking. When looking at a hot dog, you might see a delicious ballpark fan favorite. However, have you ever considered how many miles, steps, or networks it takes to produce a hot dog with all your favorite toppings? Think about all the unique steps that are involved in producing just mustard. Mustard seeds come from India, and some of our favorite fancy mustards are prepared in France. Beyond the mustard seeds, mustards require turmeric, also made in India, and paprika from Hungary or the Netherlands. In addition, salt, water, and white vinegar are also needed. Considering the system that is involved in producing simply one condiment can be complex, let alone thinking about the entire process that is necessary to produce a fully loaded hot dog. People are not particularly well equipped for systems thinking. It's much easier to understand and interact with simple linear cause and effect chains. The more complex the system dynamics, the more difficult it is to know how decisions will play out. Oftentimes, decisions or actions at one point have an impact on another component within the system. For example, thinking about our ballpark hot dog, if mustard seed production is decreased by warmer weather patterns one year, then the price for this key ingredient is likely to rise. This, in turn, could limit production, making mustard seed more expensive and or not as readily available. Within systems thinking, it is important to see the interconnected nature of all the elements and to understand that reacting to a problem in one part of the system may have unintended consequences on other components or the process as a whole. Systems thinking does not claim complete knowledge. Rather, systems thinking is about assessing the degree of system complexity, analyzing system dynamics, and making decisions that reduce the risk of negative outcomes. To develop systems thinking, explore how things might change under different circumstances. Look at possible associations and connections beyond the information that is being presented. Consider conducting an institutional analysis, which includes a robust review of existing practices, mechanisms, and procedures currently in place. Share your findings with relevant stakeholders and discuss both hidden and visible flows. Seek possible explanations and relationships. Think more globally about how you are part of major economic, environmental, and social systems. Consider how these systems directly impact one another and how they influence the immediate systems you work within.
What does the video tell us? The video tells us that everything is connected. So what is happening in Congo is affecting what is happening in Switzerland. What is happening in Gaza is affecting what is happening in Morocco. And what is happening in Sudan is affecting not only Egypt, is affecting what is happening in Mauritania. So in these complex systems, it's very hard when we are talking about our climate, when we're talking about the future of our planet, to split or separate one item from another. Whatever US is doing when it comes to increasing investment in oil and gas, increasing extractions in minerals in Africa, whatever France is doing in like thinking, developing mega tons projects in sub-Saharan Africa or North Africa, it affects the whole planet. Every single emission taking place in China is affecting us here in Egypt. That tells us if we as young leaders want to understand how to work within these systems, it's very important to understand politics, the global economy, the IFIs, how they are working, the international financial institutions, and the social dynamics, the class, where people are, the education system introduced to us, and how we are actually coming in and out from all these systems. The good thing happened right after the World War II is that now we supposedly having the United Nations, which is like regulate and make sure that everything happening in harmony and countries are aligned together in producing policies that fits everyone. That fits everyone. And I'm so sorry speaking too fast. And fits everyone. And making sure that things accommodate people in the global south as they accommodate people in the global north. Does that actually happening? Is that what actually we are facing now? So what we see is actually not what is happening in real. What we see is just the events. It's the surface of the iceberg that we are like living in. The world now, or what we are living now, is what we call the outcomes of the ongoing practices that we are doing regularly. And when I'm calling we, it's not we as individuals. I'm talking as systems, as our countries, as our governments, and as the global system. So if we want to break down the system, we need to understand the layers that comes within the system. The policies that taking place now is not coming because the governments that they are taking it or initiating it or like proposing it, doing it because they are thinking that they fit everyone. No, everyone taking the decision based on what they think, or like every government takes a decision based on the benefit of their own people. I'm going to like give you an example relevant to the climate hazards. Do you think that the floods taking place in Pakistan are because Pakistan doesn't have a big infrastructure to accommodate these floods, or because God wants Pakistan to flood, or it's because of all the emissions that took place since the manufacturing revolution in the 50s, in the previous era? So this is how we should think. The new public policies introduced are an action, or like a react to a lot of beyond that systems. Let's take an example on Egypt, because I'm from Egypt, so it's easier for me to break it down. When Egypt decided that they are going to build the high dam back in the 60s, they acted based on the events that took place, where Egypt used to be flooded every year, and these floods are washing out lots of lands, people, and give them a lot of hard times to accommodate afterwards. But in order to do this high dam, it's a series of process and trends. First, they thought of where they're going to finance it. They don't have the finance. They thought of, do we get the right amount of water in order to produce this kind of, oh no, they thought of first of how this water, or like how this floods support the land and give it the nutrition needs. And if we just stop this amount of water, how it's going to impact the agriculture land afterwards. What other benefits that we can get out of the dam? Is it going to support us in electricity production? Is it going to support us in like creating more jobs? And what kind of other models that can be used? It's the same strategy that Ethiopia is taking now when they think about their GERD, how they are going to benefit from the GERD, how the GERD is going to support the local communities, the amount of electricity that it's going to give, and the amount of water that they have in order to fill the GERD. Yet, within all these technical thinking, people like us need to give countries, or like to give policymakers, to give governments the sense of, does that what the local community looking for? As a farmer, floods are very, very important for the agriculture land. Floods making sure that all the minerals go to the land. Floods make sure that the lands are very fertile, and it gives them the space where they give land rest. When the dam took place, one of the major problems that we faced is like the deaggregation of the agriculture land, where all the good mud and soil were like captured right behind the dam. And that made us thought of, oh, what's going to happen to these, to what we're going to do with this mud, what we're going to do to like give the soil the fertilizers it needs. So it's a whole economic system built right after building the dam. However, civil society members told the government back then that this is a problem that we are going to face and we need to think about it. It's the same thing happening now in Ethiopia, when we are just like building a very big dam, and how the dam is going to benefit people, and the amount of projects that's going to happen, and the amount of work, job creation is going to happen, but the amount of water needed and all the things that's going to support the project itself. Us as civil society members, us as young people trying to enter this sphere, it's very important to think who's going to do what and what the government direction, long-term plan aims to, and try to understand where the government position is and where our position is, and who we want to represent. So me taking the code of a government, I will definitely going to be with a big dam that's going to produce electricity, create more jobs, support in agriculture, and make a sustainable green investment. But as a local, if I take this coat off and put my civil society coat on, I'll make sure that the communities are not hurt. People are not been displaced in order to build this high dam. And even if they are going to be displaced, where they're going to be located, if this location is convenient enough for their livelihood, for their lifestyle, what policies are going to be created in order to make them feel that they didn't just been wiped away out of one of the government policies, and also make sure that the long-term livelihood of them is taken care of. Final question, and this is going to be also like embedded in the Mentimeter questionnaire back in the end. The climate issue, as like, or like the climate disaster where we are like facing now, is part of every single economic political action that's been taken by governments. Climate is not isolated from the human rights issue. It's not isolated from the economic issue. It's not isolated from the political issue. It's in the heart and center. And when we want to talk about climate change, when we want to talk about sustainability, we cannot address that without a pure good understanding of the political systems that we are living in, the political systems that rule the globe, and the economic system that rule everything around it, and how they are linked, and making sure that they are like not just working hand in hand, they are correlated and they are benefiting each other. So as a leader, leaders' role are to catalyze, not control. And creating new leaders, paving the way for younger generation. We don't want to reinvent the wheel of really bad leaders ruling the globe now. We are the future, and you have to believe in that. We are the ones who are going to rule it one day, whether they want it or not. So But if we want to rule it the right way, if we don't want to create the same disasters again and again, it's very important to understand that leaders without local communities cannot survive. And systems can be changed if the people want that. And if your target is the welfare and the well-being of your community based on your community standards, you are going to be the right leader. It's not relevant to, I want to make my village looking like the Riviera or like a big compound happening in Switzerland, or being like the European countryside. It's about how my nature, my indigenous community been presented, my local community, my knowledge, my language, my ethnicity want to survive and to go on, not necessarily based on the global laws in a way or another. And in order to do that, it's very important to go from the local to global. And that does not mean that we are isolated from what is happening globally. We are here to exchange knowledge. We are here to share our ideas and to share our success stories. Kenya, for example, had this big initiative where they want to like change their clean cook stove thing into, all right, no, I will tell you this story properly, which is like, let me remember. Sorry. Dun, 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 dun. It's very hard to keep on talking without not being distracted. So yeah, here we go. So what happened? Kenya as a country, they were like facing a big challenge when it comes to the cooking stoves projects. They were based on the Energy for Impact organization. They were like saying 76% of Kenyans still cooking using traditional biomass fuels, which has like a huge impact on the environment, which has like on the huge impact on the, it's like it has a lot of indoors pollution. And correct me if I'm wrong, people in Kenya, this has been such a great success based on all that international reporting. So I would love to hear more about that from our Kenyan colleagues in the co, saying that this project made a huge difference in the Kenyan livelihood, especially for women. What was the initiative? They wanted to like change the whole process of cooking into this biogas, bioethanol stoves indoors, and giving chances for startups, different ideas to replace these old stoves to reduce the emissions. And once they started the initiatives, it was like boom, things changed. Lots of ideas were created, lots of new technical stoves been presented. Most of them were like women-led. And because the country policy, the government, took it personally and they decided that this is going to be our initiative. It allocated proper funds, international investors in, and I believe the World Bank also like chipped in, which is like, I'm not a big fan of the World Bank. However, they chipped in a big chunk of money. The whole initiative changed the ranking of Kenya from the scoring their like what it called the Rice Clean Cooking Index, which is like a World Bank index, from 68 to 83 in only 3 years, from 2019 to 2021. What does that tell us? When we allocate local problems, when we understand who takes the decision, when we know our positionality, and when we open the door for ideas, for different genders, for people from everywhere to present their ideas, things actually can move faster than we think. So to reach that point, it's a long process of fight to gain that space. To reach it, again, I'm repeating myself, I'm so sorry for that. It's very important to understand the matrix, or like the triangle of the social, economic, and environmental impact on everything. As Kenya did, they were like, this is a big environmental problem. We are facing a huge pollution. It's not good. We are like cutting trees in order to cook, and it's not efficient, and it does not help people to grow, and it does not give us like sustainable impact. Yet they decided that we are going to assess who can do what from a social perspective. They decided, okay, women are the ones who are responsible for cooking. Women are the ones who are like operating stoves. Then women can be the ones who like give us these ideas, what kind of stoves they want, how they want to operate it, what technology needed, and they open the door for that. Secondly, economically, how profitable this is going to be. Who can fund that? The return of investment for the local community or for the enterprise and for the international investor, how it can like aligned, and the impact of it on the policies inside and for the environmental outside. This is the 3 pillars where we can like link every local initiative or every idea based on our own communities. What can help us big time is the climate policies. And this takes us to the UNFCCC arena, or the agreement, or like the long process of negotiations since 1990, since the 90s. It's been like a long process. It's like more than 30 years, I believe. It's like now where we started to talk about climate change, and we started to make sure that all these policies can be reflected. And it took us a long like time to reach to the Paris Agreement, which we are going to talk about in the upcoming slide. But the good things that can help us support our local communities, support our system thinking and sustainable thinking onwards, is to understand how these international policies intersect and work with our local policies, and how we can push our governments to integrate and embed these policies in-house, so we get the win of the international presence and the local advantage. Am I there? Shall I speak? Yeah? Can you hear me? I don't know whether you can hear me or not. They told me that there's no stream. Works? Uh, I'm back, I think. Sorry for the glitch. So, the climate policies, the international ones, support us in creating our local ones. And it's very important for us to understand the international ones that comes under the UNFCCC and included and create our own climate policies that reflect what we want to achieve in our local communities. If you may notice that I'm always coming back to the local community because it's all about the local community. It's all about the small person who is like running now in the fields of Upper Egypt or in the middle of Uganda. It's very important for us to understand that everything that should be done is for this woman who is like trying to cook a decent meal for her kids in Kenya. If that is like in front and center of your thinking, the right policies may come. Things change when we only think about profit. Things change when we only think about the political system sustainability, not the welfare of the people. And our role as future leaders is to return back the ideas of what the local communities want, what we want to achieve in terms of welfare. What is the meaning of welfare? What is the meaning of livelihood based on what the local community want to be or to look like? And look at our economy from a circular dimension where we can use our wastes as a resource again, where we are not exploiting our earth more and more just for the sake of profit, where we can like actually create the policies that can sustain the earth for more generations onward, not to benefit the current companies who just like want to produce and not to stop. Okay, that takes us to the UNFCCC. 2015, directly to Paris, where all the world leaders decided enough is enough. We want to create a framework where we are going to protect the futures of our people. And in order to do that, they agreed on a Paris Agreement, and or as I call it, a climate project, group project. And it's very interesting because it's an actual group project. No one can like succeed unless the other peer worked as their peers. They need all to work together. They need all of them need to like to take the same actions, have the same proactivity, and work as fast as possible because Earth is not waiting for us. It's already going crazy. It's already flooding us. It's already killing us under heat or like cold waves. And things are dramatically changed into a place where we don't want to see. So the group project called Paris Agreement, and they agreed that they want to keep the global warming below 2 Celsius or ideally 1.5 Celsius. They started with 1.5, and because like now 10 years from Paris Agreement and we reached nothing, unfortunately they made it 2 Celsius. Think of the Earth as a human body. If you get a fever of the human body temperature needs to be from 36 degrees till 37 degrees. If you get a fever of like, if your temperature increased to like 37, you will get a little bit, 38, you will get a little bit feverish, you will be a little bit dizzy, and you will function like 70%. If you reach 38, you will be so 39, you will be so feverish, you cannot function at all. If you reach 40, you will be in bed, you cannot talk, you're actually hallucinating, and you will need to be under medical care. If you reach 41, most likely you're going to die. And if I keep on like, you're like going to fail organs, like your eye is going to shut, your kidneys are going to shut. It's going to be bad. Earth is exactly like that. Reaching 1.5 is like being a human body with 38 degrees fever. It's not good, but you can still function. And if we can like do a little bit of this and that, you can be okay. If you just like take one paracetamol, you can function. And now, based on the IPCC report, I believe Earth degrees is 1.2 to 3. And if we keep our production ongoing, by 2030, we're going to reach 3 degrees. And Earth should be 0. Like it shouldn't have like all these siliciuses on. How they're going to do it? Okay. They decided they are going to do it as the picture shows through 4 main pillars, 2 mega ones and 2 below ones, which is like support each. Mitigation process, where we are going to cut our emissions dramatically. We're going to change our production process. We are going to integrate innovation. We are going to be sustainable. We are not going to just produce for the sake of production. And we are going to be more like cautious with the minerals we extract. And we are going to reduce fossils when we seek production. And the second pillar is adaptation, where we are going to adapt to the 1.5, which is not ideal. It still has hurricanes, it has floods, it has extreme weather events, yet we can accommodate with proper policies, proper protection, proper like support for the most vulnerable community or the most affected community. And we need to do that through proper finance and proper technology. And when I'm talking about a group project, every single country needs to chip in. Every single person is responsible, from a mega president of a very big country like US to a very small young person running in the fields of Uganda. The key ingredients of Paris Agreement are mainly 4. First one, every single country needs to produce its own NDC, National Determined Contribution. I think you would hear that because this year, it's a very critical year when it comes to NDCs. Countries need to update their NDCs, check where they are progressing, what they are doing, how they are like progressing when it comes to the mitigation and adaptation, and whether we are reaching our target to like keep the Earth under under 2 degrees or like 1.5 degrees or not. Currently, your country supposed to submit or announce its new national determined contribution. It's your action plan, climate action plan. What you're going to do with your fossil production, what you're going to do with your fossil consumption, what you're going to do with like your economic situation, what kind of transition that you are taking your country into. And the most important key part of the national determined contribution is the presence of local communities and youth and women and all indigenous people in your country. These kind of action plans need to be taken seriously and need to be part of a big discussion within the community in order to get the best out of it, in order to implement it in the first place, because you cannot like implement something if the local communities are not aligned with it. The second part of Paris Agreement is the finance. And this is our big fight. As a civil society member, and have been part of mainly all COPs since Paris, it were like 10 COPs. I attended 7 out of 10. finance is the big problem, because finance is promised by the rich communities, the communities who, or like the rich countries, the countries who've been taking all the resources from this earth, producing all the emissions, and making sure that they are paying back for countries who actually contribute nothing to the global change, to the global emissions. And the plan was to reach 100 billion per year since Paris Agreement, in order to help other countries adapt and to mitigate these kind of things. To mitigate the actions, yani, when it comes to the implementations. Unfortunately, finances are not there yet. After 10 years, we didn't even reach 100 billion. And unfortunately as well, this part been a big discussion where countries like US, like China, are not even believing that they need to pay all the amount of money. They kept on like blocking negotiations, not supporting the fund, not giving into the money. And they don't believe that adaptations need to be part of a grant mechanism. They are giving it to countries in terms of loans. So it's just like, not only you are not giving the money, the peanuts you are giving, you want me as a country coming out of colonialism of 100 years, or like exploitation for 100 years, you want me to take debt to pay for what you make me live under these floods, which is also not fair. And this is a narrative that we as local leaders need to take onwards and talk to every G20 countries, great 20 countries. In their eyes, they should pay up their fare. The third part is the global stocktake, where it's like a midterm exam. Every 5 years, countries need to stop and check what they are doing when it comes to the emissions, how they are like cutting their emissions down, and what is actually happening. And also the transparency and accountability. The big problems that comes with the Paris Agreement, that it relies on the transparency of the countries, and it's not legally binding. So countries can come in and come out of the treaty, like what US is doing every 4 years with Trump, and they can change their pledges based on what they think is right. And because it's a group project, every single change in this like plan distributes the whole plan for the whole planet. It's very important to understand the flow of the negotiations, or where we are. 2015, Paris Agreement signed. 2018, we had the rule book, where how we are going to measure the progress. 2021, we had the Glasgow Pact. And Sharm el-Sheikh, we had the loss and damage agreed fund. Dubai, we had the global stocktake, which is not so good. And this year in Blem, we're going to have the NDC cycle. Why it's important to understand Paris Agreement, the international framework, because what is happening, as I said since the beginning of this presentation, what is happening locally impact what the leaders are talking about internationally. And what the leaders taking in those rooms need to reflect what the local communities want. Like what the farmers want, what the women groups want, what the youth want, what the mayors want. It needs to be presented. I will run fast because I only have 10 minutes, which is like so bad. So it's very important to understand the matrix, is like to understand the stakeholders, who we are talking to, how we should engage. Us as leaders, us as like entrepreneurs, us as like activists, we need to build our network of stakeholders that can reach our voices to the leaders who are actually negotiating on our behalf and taking loans on our behalf, we are going to pay. Governments, so you need to engage with your government. You need to engage with like your mayors. You need to engage with your governor. You need to engage with like your president, your like ministers. You need to understand what they're doing, why they're planning these plans, how they are not taking your like voices in consideration, and why. Local NGOs are the most key players and important people in this process because they are the ones who represent the majority of people on the ground. Businesses, the ones who wants to take profit or make profit. And unfortunately, they are the ones with the technology and the science somehow. And to shift their ideas from just seeking profit to a sustainable model that can make everyone happy. You can get the profit and I can get a good livelihood and everyone is winning. Is a key formula, recipe to reach a proper plan. Kenya, I'm so in favor and I love Kenya because Kenya, like they are using a lot of really successful models where they are engaging a lot of stakeholders. This is the stakeholder map of Kenya. The government, the media, communities, the academic and the research centers, the private sector, the civil society and the NGOs, and the international community who are like investing and building their support in-house. And they intersect the way it looks like. This is how your stakeholder map should look like. Directly to us, what we do. Now, in order to do that, you need to collaborate, you need to advocate, and you need to negotiate. Collaborate, you do your stakeholder map from where you're standing, from your position, your location, as a student, as a young entrepreneur, as a medium or a small enterprise, or as an actually a lead of a union in your country. And do the power and the interest grid, where the government is, what I want to take from it, where I am from the UNFCCC, what is happening in the international world, what is happening politically, where I am from the production of policies. Establish a trust, build a relationship, and develop partnership across different sectors. Advocate, be a good storyteller. If you're not a good storyteller, find a good storyteller and bring the stories from the local community. Bring the stories from the people. Give women stage to go and say their stories from how they collect or like bring water in-house, how they don't have electricity, how they need more sustainable electricity grids that does not put them under financial burdens. All these stories can shape policies and can actually change the current policies that we do have. Translate the global systems to these people. People do live in this like sphere where like negotiations take places in Addis Ababa as we are speaking. People are actually like women in the village I come from, they do live every single policy that the president take in the big palace in the capital. They don't care about the political narrative or like these fancy words that we do say, but they understand, they live it. So if you don't, as a leader, translate it in the easy local slang, you cannot get the story that you want to influence the ones who are speaking the fancy language with. And leverage the policy opportunity. So if you do have access to COP, if you do have access to COI, if you do have access to like a union where you get invited to like review your NDC, you need to use this to make sure that all the voices that you hear or notice or read are present inside these spheres. Negotiate. A very key point, and they usually don't tell us that to not let us in their rooms. They cannot pass any policy under the UNFCCC without the 9 constituencies' approval. And the 9 constituencies are the NGOs, the environmental organizations, the women and gender constituency. Wait, I have them all. They are always confusing to me. The NGOs, the Bingos, the Lagmas, the Ringos, the Tongos, the women and gender constituencies, the Yongos, the IPOs, and the farmers. I will tell you who they are very fast. The environmental NGOs, the business and the industries NGOs, the local government authorities, the research and the independent universities, the trade union, the women and gender constituency, the youth NGOs, the indigenous people organizations, and the farmer constituencies. They cannot pass anything without our approval. So our presence is important. We have the right to mobilize, to negotiate, to present our agendas, to say our words in these fields. So your presence matters. So go to these fields, attend COPs, attend events, attend actions, do your actions, make your people heard, and bring people with you, because this is where the policy take place. This is where all the politics creates. And actually, this is where you can engage directly with your government. So, fast. What we need to do. Communication skills are the key. You need to understand the verbs, the words, unfortunately, the acronyms that the UN use, and all these fancy words that been part. You need to have a group of people with you. You need to build a strong network. Be part of one of the constituency. Learn from them. These people are such experts. They understand everything. You will find in the constituency lawyers, academics, professors, farmers, people from the on ground, people who've been doing rallies and protests all over the world. And they do they know the know-how. Join these people and be part of their action. Bring the new, it's not about having the new, most innovative idea. It's about getting the idea that will make your people comfortable. Observe, analyze, and then find the solution that fits your community. Don't sit and watch Shark Tank in US and take an idea and try to sell it in your country. That doesn't make any sense. You need to understand what the needs of your local community is and build upon it. Now, you need to use your technical competency, like if you're an engineer, if you're a waste management expert, if you're a teacher, and combine it with the climate narrative and the language that's been used in these spheres. Put some financial management in the recipe, bring in the digital technology and use all these amazing platforms that we are doing. I cannot believe that I'm talking to hundreds of people and I don't see any one of them. And engage and mobilize. And also make sure that it's not about being the most appealing, or it's not about using the right words. It's about to use, not the fancy words, it's about to use the right words that match your community. So if you don't speak English, bring someone to translate. If you don't speak French, if the event is taking place in France, bring someone to translate. Or you need to, they don't speak our language. You need to bring the people on board to make it easier for you. And it's not only on persons, as it's on communities and it's on governments. I'm done for us as young individuals to take the whole responsibility of everything. It's all of us responsibility. And you need to have that in the back of your head. It's about creating the movement that can push governments to do what we want. And to do that, we need to be a community. We need to be a union. We need to be people who stand in solidarity and support other people to end wars, to end exploitation, to end bad extraction in Congo. These are our lands, even if we don't live in there. So, examples for ideas, and I know I'm out of time, right? Yeah, I know, I'm so sorry. 2 minutes. Waste energy startups, they need engineers as technicals, but they need community mobilizers to advocate for the policies and to make people understand the technology that this technical person brings. If you are going to be in COP as a youth delegate, you need to get the technical illiteracy of like the acronyms and the words and all these fancy articles, paragraphs, things, and you need to learn negotiations skills as well. If you are a journalist, you need to get the data from reports, from the UN, and also you need to get this storytelling style and technique for people to understand and learn. It's not about you creating stuff for the sake of creation, for the sake of these events. You create these for the people. And all the skills needed, you already have. You are in a boot camp. You already have a really good skills that led you here. So it's very important for you to just read more about your local political situation, local economic situation, the position of the World Bank and how the IFIs or the international financial institutions doing the economic stability plan. Your NDCs are very important to read. Go after this session, check your government website and see where they are standing in their NDCs. They all need to submit it this year in BLEM. So most likely there are drafts somewhere. And start to get your own story, your local community story into these spheres. And I think I'm done. Thank you all. What's happening now?
Thank you all. Thank you, Haneen. It was a very nice session. So for now segment, we will be taking in your questions through the chat. We only have 7 minutes, so send in your questions through the chat, and Haneen will choose the most ones that fit the type and the discussion of the session and answer them for you before we move on to the Mentimeter. So please start sending your questions in the chat now. Thank you.
Just to kickstart the process of question and answers, we already have one that was asked on the chat. Yusuf, could you confirm that I can ask this on the on here right now? So the question was by Javan. I hope I said the name correctly. I'm going to drop it again in the chat for everyone to see, but also read it out for you all. How can young leaders in climate innovation, especially in regions affected by instability or limited resources, practically build strong leadership skills while also ensuring inclusivity and resilience within their communities? That's a fantastic question. I'll pass it over to the Youth in Green team to start off with this one.
Thank you, Radhi. If it's in the chat, we will get to it right now. We're just waiting to collect a few. If you can post it in the chat, please, so we have it. We collect a few of them and then immediately get to answer.
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions so far. The first one, how young leaders in climate innovation, especially in regions affected by instability or limited resources, which is Africa, practically build strong leadership skills while also ensuring inclusivity, resilience within their own communities. That's a really good question. The first part of it is you already have a really good communication skills. If you think you don't, trust me, you are mistaken, because resilience and good communications come out of like struggle. And in Africa, despite where we are, we do have like a very challenging situation where we are like facing a lot of changes every single day, from political, economic, and social situation. The main key things that you need to work on: first, you need to listen a lot, read a lot of history about the communities that you want to present. Make sure that you are, well, I hate that word, but being politically correct sometimes a person coming from a left-wing presence. It's not always acceptable, especially in the political sphere. Yet, when you are politically correct, when you are sounding or echoing the voices of real local communities, and that makes that puts you under an obligation of reaching to the communities that you are talking about. It does not make any sense that you're talking about rural communities while you are living in a fancy building in the capital. That does not give you credibility. So if you want to be credible, if you want to be really sound, you need to go and live where you want, in the communities that you want to present, hear the real, live their own lives, and then take these stories and go to the spheres where you want to talk. And also, you need to like, the resilience are going to be built every time you are kicked out of the room, every time you've been shouted at. Unfortunately, this is the truth. And you're going to build these techniques. Nobody can like teach it to you, but what I can tell you is like, listen properly, read a lot of history, and go present yourself. The second question, how do you go to COP? You need to check all the NGOs who are part of the 9 constituencies that I told you about. These constituencies, you can find in the website, or like on the website of the UNFCCC, and the registered NGOs, the registered organizations are listed on the UNFCCC website. You can go and see where is the nearest, or like the closest NGO, the closest coalition in your country. Apply and be part of them. We always need a lot of people. We need a lot of support, and we need people to come with us to COP. Nowadays, it's like the period where we are like collecting applications. So please go and check the Women and Gender Constituency, the Widow, CAN, PACJA, all these like networks are part of the UN. I cannot take another one. No. Okay.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Haneen, so much. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you guys for engaging and being part of the session. Right now, we will move on to the Mentimeter portion of the session. I would like you all to take just a quick second. The link will be shared with you in the Zoom chat. Everything will be ready in just a quick second. So be on go.
Where is it? Okay, so you will find these questions coming out of the presentation. So it's very important to reflect and answer based on your reflections, and give me 1 or 2 words maximum. So the first one, based on your community, and when I'm talking about community, is like your neighborhood, the place you live, your village, I don't want you to talk about the big, if you're living in the city, if you're living in a capital, think about your small neighborhood, your street. Yeah, amazing. Perfect. What else? Okay. Okay. Amazing. Brilliant. Give me more. Oh, resilience. Amazing. Okay. Go on. I want to read all the. خلاص people are okay. 22 out of the. Okay. The second question is, which tool, from your own perspective, you think is the best to reduce emissions? Your own perspective. Don't go fancy, just what you think. Go ahead. Thank you. We are cutting our trees. The previous question, if you all noticed, it's just like you all talked about the wastes. When I'm asking you to just like break down, telling me the most common problem that you're facing, while putting the idea or like putting the things as an answer, think of who's causing it, why it's happening, and my position towards it. Here, when I asked you about your own perspective about reducing the emissions, it's very relevant to your position from the solutions. People are going to say, like, carbon counting. Can we carbon count in? Unless you are part of the government. Can we doing electrification? So it's just like my English is running away from me. Solar energy. Okay, mindset. It's very important for you. Your point of view is relevant to, if I give you this solution, will you buy it? If you are thinking that solar energy is the best to reduce emissions, are you using it to reduce your own emissions? If you think, like, stop the airplanes is the worst polluters ever, do you think if it's your decision, will you stop taking an airplane in your like travels? Now we are like planning to go to Brazil. It's like minimum 20 hours flight if you are from Africa. Are you going to go by sailing to cut your own emissions? Think about you and how you are going to practice it. If you're going to practice it, then it does work. Okay, amazing. Who to engage first in a local project? So if we think like solar energy is the answer, who do you think you need to engage with to promote or to sell this project? NGOs are poor. They don't have the money, man, come on. Local communities. Who else? Leaders. What do you mean by leaders? Stakeholders. Stakeholders are very wide. No, I want you to be specific. Local authorities. Okay. Investors. Okay. Government. Who in the government? Think of your position. Okay. Who are the key players? This is my second question. When you tell me government, who in the government? The Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Investment. Who in the community members? Me, amazing. Yeah, okay. If you are a mayor, okay. Private sector, president, amazing. If you can reach him. Transport investor, okay. All right. Great. هو أنا لما bioenergy. What do you mean by bioenergy? When I'm talking about key players, I want like people in positions. Give me people in positions and your position from that person. Can you go to the president and meet him regularly so you can like actually talk to him? It's very important for you as a young or like a mid-career person to know your position and your powers and what you can do and what you cannot do. Okay, I need to run the next question. Which soft skill you think is the most valuable in your career path now? You and your career path. Amazing. Okay. Okay. Respect is not a soft skill. It's like an ideology. Networking, critical thinking, problem solving. Okay. All these things come if you do a regular routine of reading the news, reading about your political regime, who is taking the decisions in your country, where you are from these people, what are the channels that you can take or path in order to be a decision maker or to reach a decision maker. And do you speak the language? And when I'm saying the language, do you have the right acronyms, the right words, the right attitude, and fortunately the right look to enter these spheres? You want me to? Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, what are the barriers? Do you think the barriers that stops us are financial, awareness, or politics? Come on, guys, money is not everything. Please, don't go under the trap. It's not. We're very rich. We are the richest continent. Trust me. Read our history. Oh my God, how come you are not with politics? Politics is the key. I'm so sorry for pushing you to give the answers. Okay. Okay. Good job. Yeah. We have the money, but we are spending it badly. We are spending it in the bad places. Okay, everyone. Okay, in your country, which of these pillars is the most neglected? Economic, social, environment. Okay. Run, 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 guys, be fast. We're running out of time. Okay. 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 Do you know why? Because most of the countries in Africa, they don't think environment is linked to the social. Sure that environment is in the front and center of every negotiation or every talk, like gender, for example. Gender is mainstreamed across every single pillar what we are working on. Environment is similar to that. So if you find any economic dialogue or any social dialogue that does not have an environmental sustainable key in it, this is a bad dialogue, and we need to flag this and we need to bring it on the table. Okay? One word. What does leadership mean to you? Come on, give me words. Fast, fast, fast. Okay. I wish. Okay. 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 Transparency, accountability, guide. Exactly. Leaders are the one who's like guiding, supporting, are people-oriented, understand life. They do have really good communication skills. And by communication skills, I mean they speak the people language. They don't speak English. They speak people language. And the people language is based on the room that you are in. So if people speak Swahili, you have to speak Swahili, slang Swahili, and ongoing. Okay, I need to run. They are like giving me the signs. What systematic issue did you notice that links to climate in your country, in your neighborhood? Come on, come on, come on. One word, poverty. Okay. Okay. Ah, that's nice, civic sense. Okay. Okay. People are usually use the word awareness. If we are doing awareness for the sake of awareness, we're going nowhere. You need to have a systematic, designed awareness. What do you need people to do with the knowledge you are giving them? And by that, you will support people achieve. You want people to change a certain policy, and you want people to engage in a certain negotiation. So every single action has its own level of awareness. And every single person plays with its own level of awareness as well. People cannot be like, when it comes to their intellectual thought, it's very hard to equalize people. You have to play on their differences. You have to play in their different backgrounds, different mental capacity. So the knowledge should be accessible, the information should be accessible, and people should choose what to be aware of and make sure that people are can get where they want to go and be. I think we are, and thank you all. I had a blast. I will take these words, and I think you have my email. Feel free to contact me. And people I didn't answer the questions, email them to me. I will try to reply, and lovely meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thanks to the YTG team for the fantastic session. Just as we're about to close, just some very key important information, which I will share very briefly in terms of what's happening next, where we are in the mentorship program, and how you can continue to engage, as of course the discussion does not stop here. So at the moment, you should be able to see my screen. And as of course, today we would have completed the session on growth and leadership green skills. And we have 2 upcoming sessions coming up. Of course, as you have registered for the bootcamp session, you would have received the Zoom link. I know we keep getting the questions about the Zoom link. It's the same Zoom link you got from the start that will allow you to receive the joining link for the remaining sessions. And of course, as per usual, we'll be ending with the Climate Cafe session led by FXB Global Climate Advocates. That's on the 25th. All the sessions are at the same time. And again, it would be the same link. Importantly, of course, we continue the discussions as mentioned. And if you have not joined the Bootcamp channel, I encourage you to join now by just scanning the QR code on there. And from there, you would see the discussion platform. So if I just share quickly, you would see the various groups, of course, Green Skills for a Green Future. And from there, you would see the discussion tabs where we have various discussions. We also have the question and answer thread where our experts will also be answering questions. And of course, the discussions can keep going and sharing your questions and so on. I know the question also comes up, all the files, presentation files, would be uploaded and included under the files tab here. And at the end of the overall mentorship program in September, then we would be sharing with you the YouTube links for the recording. But the resources, presentations will be available in the Bootcamp channel. So if you have not joined, I encourage you to join the Bootcamp channel. And certainly we look forward to you all joining us for the next session that is on next Tuesday. So of course, as per usual, that wraps up our session. So we'll just invite everyone, if possible, to take our usual group photo by turning on your camera if you can, and you would receive a prompt to automatically take a collective group photo. So if possible, feel free. I know we're from different time zones and whatnot, so I know it may not be possible for all, but certainly if you can, do turn on your camera and allow the app to take your group photo. You should receive a prompt requesting to. So. And certainly while that is happening, of course, do remember, if you have any questions or any queries regarding the program, feel free to reach out to us via the email which was shared early on. That is youthforcapacity@unfccc.int. So yes, if you have not taken, you should receive the request to take the photo. And with that, we will wrap up our second session and the Green Skills Bootcamp. So I'll just leave it on for a few seconds. See others are taking the photos. Yeah. 5 seconds. I will close it off. So. Excellent. Thank you all and do enjoy the rest of your day. And see you soon. Well, next Tuesday. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
You.
you.
Great time.